Hi guys,
Sorry.
welcome to Imperial session dedicated to the physiotherapy students. In the past 1.5 months, we have been doing various sessions which have broadly outlined, university-specific sessions. We have been doing student-specific sessions, understanding, real practical experiences of students on our Instagram page, and hopefully most of you have been liking them. Today we have with us all our the complete panel across, wherein we would be okay. So we have an upper limit on the attendees, which is about 100 odd. So those of you who are we have kind of got an overwhelming response for this session. So those of you who have missed out on the session, we will be sharing the recording soon, and those can attend the recording as well. So in terms of today, we have obviously various the complete household at Imperial, wherein all people who are taking us through with various sessions involved. So we'll be discussing step-by-step country options. So starting with the US, Hiren is there who takes care completely of the complete US as well. We have Akshay Bhandari, a senior account. Hiren's the business head. We have Akshay Bhandari who has who will be taking care of Europe and all physiotherapy aspirations of Europe. We have Sonali Palkar who will be taking care of all aspects of Canada. We have Ankur sir who will be helping us with preparing for the GRE, which is may not be a mandatory requirement, but is an important component in terms. And we also have Harkiran who will be joining us shortly with regard to Australia and New Zealand. So in terms of guys, just a minute, getting that constant response of attendees. So probably what we can do is, do we have it on board so we can start off with the session? Okay. So we would ideally ask the non-panelists and the organizers who are not presenting to exit the session, please, and join as attendees. So do we have Kiran on board? Yes. So we have the full panel is full. Okay. So let's start first exploring the country options. Next slide, please. Akshay, next slide. Okay. Globally, you can study in any country in the world. Obviously, language is an important factor, and hence we have shortlisted kind of looking at these popular destinations. So Hiren, starting with US as the country for physiotherapy, tell us what is it like to be a physiotherapist in the US, and how does a student get there?
Yeah, first of all, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the overwhelming response. Like, honestly, the go-to that we have, go-to webinar we have has 100 capacity, but as we can see, it is already exceeding that. So, if your friends who were planning to attend this webinar and have not been able to attend because of this, tell them we will arrange one more in the near future for them as well. Don't worry about it. And we are sorry for that. We never thought that this would be
Hiren,
like this. Yes, Ashir?
your voice is not very audible. Like, at least to me, I can't hear you properly.
Okay. For the rest of the panelists, is it audible?
I think
It is cracking.
Yeah.
it is shaky. It is yeah. I think if you don't use the earphones, it'll be better.
Yeah.
Guys, am I audible now?
Still
Slightly
some issues.
better, I think.
Yeah, but still
Okay.
not clear.
I mean, this is the best that I could get right now, honestly speaking. But am I audible? Am I clear?
Maybe
I
the
think we
other
could continue with
mute the mic. Let's see.
Come again?
He has removed the mic.
All right, guys, continuing further. Okay, first of all, thank you everyone for attending, and sorry to those who have missed out on this. I hope I am clear to all right now. And yeah, so for all people, I mean, obviously, you all who are attending right now have completed or are pursuing your physiotherapy education in India right now. And the thing is, after physiotherapy, what? That's a big question for many people. Obviously, some of you would prefer, some of you would stay back in India to work or pursue their career in India. Quite a good number of you, in fact, the ones who are attending this webinar, obviously, quite a good number of you would want to go abroad to study or maybe settle down. That's the reason why you are attending this webinar over here right now. And as rightly pointed out at the start, we'll be covering different countries over here. When you talk about US, I mean, when you have to go to the US, there are different type of courses available for you. Like starting off with DPT, PDPT, MDT, or masters in different domains are available for you. The thing is that generally, since you have done a bachelor's in India, going ahead for a master's curriculum will make more sense for you guys, no doubt about it. But as for the Physiotherapy Association in America and as for the immigration rules, what a few years back, what they made it was, if you have a DPT or a PDPT, that's a doctor of physiotherapy, a transitional doctor of physiotherapy degree from the US, then only you will be eligible for licenses in the US. Okay, so many of you prefer going for DPT or PDPT courses. Now, the thing with DPT is that it's a 3-year course generally, and of which what we have seen in the first 2 years is kind of a repetition of what we have done in your bachelor's curriculum in India. Okay, only the last year is something that is new for you, or that is like, I mean, that is something that you are going to learn new. All right. So the point is for you students, the DPT degree becomes kind of a waste, and that's why many people don't prefer going there for DPT because it becomes an expensive affair for all of you. Hence, a few schools have introduced a concept known as TDP, that's transition of doctoral physiotherapy, wherein it's anywhere from 1.5 to 2 year curriculum, wherein you would be learning new concepts more or less over there. And you will be, whatever you have done in your bachelor's, okay, let me be very honest, irrespective of whatever country you go to, the physiotherapy, what do we say, the basic principles, the fundamentals of physiotherapy are going to remain the same. They are not going to change as such. Okay, whatever you will be learning will be new things or some new technologies. Again, from what we have understood, when you go for either a PDPT or a master's course abroad, 60 to 70% of your curriculum is similar to whatever you have studied over here. 30-40% is what new you are going to learn. Okay, but most of you are going for license. Okay, whichever country you go, and in the next few slides we'll be talking about licensure of different countries. But like these are the courses that are available for you. Even a master's course is available, even a PDPT course is available, even a DPT course is available for all of you. Honestly, DPT kind of becomes a redundant or basic thing for all because it's a 3-year course. You will have to spend a lot. And for me, if you ask me personally, it is unnecessary that you're spending so much for a DPT course out there. A PDPT course makes more sense, but it's available in limited colleges, and hence some students prefer going or would apply for a master's course as well. Okay, now with regard to how to go with the license for PDPT, DPT or masters, we'll discuss about that in the later part. Akshay sir, if you can change the slide for the next country, it will be good. And everyone around over here, we would be completing this session in the next 1 hour or so, and we'll be keeping another 20-25 minutes or half an hour at the end for question answers of yours. So yeah, so we are there for that. So Akshay sir, if you can go to the next slide and the next presenter, please.
Yeah, next slide. Yeah. Sonali, what is your take on physiotherapy in Canada?
Yeah, sure. So I think Hiren sir explained it very well for US, and I think it is more or less similar for Canada as well. When it comes to courses, when you opt for courses like Masters of Physiotherapy, or you go for kinesiology, or maybe musculoskeletal, or courses similar to those, I think all of them are available in Canada. But I think the major focus of everybody who wants to migrate for study purpose for physiotherapy specifically is being eligible for the license license exam that helps you, register as a physiotherapist in a particular province in Canada. So physiotherapy being kind of a regulated profession, an active license or a practice permit is definitely mandatory in that is also specific to provinces in Canada. So you need to choose the province that you are planning to work in, and according to those regulations, you should be following the rules and the licensing exam. Now, nextly, there are about 15 universities in Canada, just 15 universities, which offer a Masters in Physiotherapy program. This Masters of Physiotherapy program, again, is regulated um, uh, by the regulatory body. Every province has their regulatory body. So these masters provinces are accredited by those regulatory bodies, and only if you graduate from these 15 universities with a physiotherapy program, you are going to be eligible for the physiotherapy competency examinations, which is also called as the PCE examination, that helps you register for a license and go ahead with your work and everything in that particular province. So the purpose of the entire masters, everything that we're doing, I think Hiren sir also mentioned that the entire value addition in this is going to be not more than 20% or 25% max. But the entire idea of going ahead with your masters is to be eligible for the PCE exam. Now, next, what exactly, how does this work, the PCE exam work, and how do students go ahead with it? We will be taking that in the next slide. But I just wanted to point out one thing over here. There are many student inquiries that we receive, people who pick up information from here and there, or maybe search on the internet and figure out that directly going and attempting a PC exam is also kind of a route that you can get into Canada and maybe start practicing directly. So you do not need to invest that amount that you'll be investing in a master's degree. Now, I just want to point out a flaw over here, why, according to me, a master's degree is preferred over going through directly the PCE route. Now, there are two ways to fulfill the criteria, the eligibility criteria to be fit for a PCE exam. So not everybody can get up one day and go for the PCE exam. There are certain eligibility criteria for that. First of all, the education that you've completed so far needs to be, credentialized by a governing body over there in Canada, which is called as, I've mentioned it on the slide, CAPR, that is the Canadian Alliance of Physiotherapy Regulators. So these regulators are different for different provinces, and there is one body which regulates all the provinces. So you need to first acquire a mandatory credentializing. You need to go through that process, and only then, if the body thinks that the degree that you have so far is equivalent to a Canadian degree, only then you will be eligible to give this PCE exam. So after going through all this, also most of the Indian institutes offer a degree which is equivalent to a US or a Canadian degree, so that's not really going to be a hurdle. But getting through the PCE exam, the concepts that we apply over here and the kind of education that we have over here definitely is different from what they offer in US, Canada, Australia, and Europe. So there, according to the official sites of many universities, as well as the CAPR official site, they've mentioned that only 40% of the people crack this PCE exam who do not go through a master's or any bridging courses in Canada. So that is the hurdle. So even if you attempt, there are not more than 3 attempts that you can give. After 3 attempts, you have all exhausted your attempts, so you cannot really appear for the exam again. So there are just 3 attempts that you can crack this exam in, so that the attempts are also quite valuable. So only 40% of the people crack the exam without getting an education in Canada. So that is a main important part why education in Canada is important. Many students, many PR agencies maybe in Canada will also tell you to take up some bridging courses, will cost you lesser than what you will be spending on your master's program. But the important fact over here, the bridging programs that we're talking about are only people who go for a PR, or maybe are convention refugees or Canadian citizens. They are eligible to go ahead with these bridging programs. So at the end, we come to only one option that seems the the most practical
The
option according
logical
to
one.
is a master's. So
Perfect.
I think
That's very nice, Sonali. So most of the students who take the master's route and look at their percentage of clearing the licensing
Yes.
exam increases tremendously, and it gives
Yeah,
them
definitely.
on-hands exposure as well.
That's correct. And the percentage I would like to mention, the comparison percentage, I did not put it on the slide, it is 87%. People who take up courses in Canada or take
Wow.
up bridging courses is 87% of clearance rate.
Nice, nice. That's very nice to hear. Okay, so now we come to Kiran ma'am. With regard to Australia and New Zealand, what do physiotherapists, how can they look around, look to enter these countries, and what they need to do to become license holders in them?
Right. So, as Sonali ma'am and Hiren sir mentioned, similar to Australia, similar to US and Canada, even in Australia, New Zealand, physiotherapist is a registered, profession. So, of course, you need to have an active license to work as a physical therapist or a physiotherapist in the country, in either of the two countries. So, in Australia, basically, the good thing is that Australian masters, uh, they the universities, there are many universities that provide a master's. So there are two types of master's degrees available in Australia. One is a master's of physiotherapy. Then there is, of course, masters of sports science and sports and exercise science. So a student with a bachelor's of physiotherapy is directly eligible to apply for the master's program. And all these master's degrees that are available in Australia, they are, registered with the Australian Physiotherapy Council. So if a student is doing a course of Masters of Physiotherapy from any of these government public universities, rest assured that he will automatically be able to get the license of physiotherapy from Physiotherapy Board of Australia. So it's harder actually to get into these masters program, but once you get into these masters program, getting a license is not very difficult. So I have written that Australia, New Zealand, in New Zealand, on the other hand, there are also diploma courses available which are easier to get into. So there are courses like postgraduate diploma in physiotherapy and postgraduate diploma in applied health sciences. And there are multiple, of course, specializations available, such as neuro rehabilitation, orthopedic manipulative therapy, sports physiotherapy, musculoskeletal, and many other forms of specializations. So a student can get into the postgraduate diploma and still be eligible for the license, or he can do a master's, but master's in New Zealand is very hard to get into. So in both these countries, basically you need a very strong academic background. By a strong academic background, I mean like a very good overall percentage. Of course, we are coming to that, I think, shortly in a few slides. But generally, the entry requirement to get into these programs is your CGPA and 1 year work experience, which anyways is covered in your curriculum. So that is, I think, pretty easy to understand. But because these programs are directly assessed by the faculty, the applications are assessed directly by the faculty of that course and not by admissions committee, or it's not an easy to get into course like a Masters of Engineering or a MBA or something, where it's much easier to understand the admissions criteria and you know that you can get in if you fulfill the criteria. In physiotherapy course, it's not that easy. So if we recommend that you have at least 7 to 8 months in hand when you're applying for these courses. And of course, Australia, New Zealand are ideal for those students who are looking at getting your license quickly and staying long term, because physiotherapy is a part of their occupation skill list, because they both these countries are short of physiotherapists. So if somebody completes a physiotherapy course, it is like a very, very easy thing for him or her to get a PR and stay on in both these countries. So that's what I would like to cover at this point.
Nice. So Nice. So basically, if you're looking at a physiotherapist and you're looking at Australia, New Zealand, you would get additional points apart from obviously the course and licenses are pretty easy to clear. So would you say that it'll be like most of the guys who do an MS would actually clear the complete licenses?
Yes, it is. It is like that because the courses are accredited
Perfect.
by those bodies. So it is automatically once he clears the masters, he will get the license.
Perfect. Okay. After this, we come to Akshay sir. Now, with regard to UK as an option, now UK option has opened up, and UK has been a premier study destination for quite some time. But
Yeah.
now added, like it's like in Hindi we say "sone pe sohaga," is that now you're getting additional stayback options with
Yeah.
when you look at UK. So let us know, how does a physiotherapy look at pursuing his higher education in UK?
Yeah, so when it basically comes to UK for any physiotherapist, there are basically two types of courses which are available. एक है फिजियोथेरेपी प्री रजिस्ट्रेशन विच इज बेसिकली अ 2 years of फिजियोथेरेपी कोर्स एंड दूसरा है नॉर्मल मास्टर्स इन फिजियोथेरेपी वो थोड़ा एडवांस होता है दैट इज 1 year of the physiotherapy course. And UK as a country, as Banit sir rightly pointed, UK as a country अभी 1 साल के कोर्स पे या 2 साल के कोर्स पे we basically have 2 years का stay back. Now what happens is so it's easier to get into UK. So it's easy to get into a university in UK. Not much of hazel. And with regards to the license part, it is very easy. When we'll come to that part, so basically it's a 4-5 step process to apply for a license, and it's easy. जैसे क्या होता है when you are in India or you are in any part of the world, when you go to UK, HCPC यहाँ पे जो लिखा है Health and Care Professional Council, that is basically a physiotherapy का council जो पूरा physiotherapy का तुम्हारा registrations and all देखता है. Now this HCPC, you can apply or you can register to this HCPC even before you fly to UK. So HCPC generally is a 6 months process. Yeah, it's a lengthy process, and the fees of HCPC is somewhere around £500. So हम यहीं से इंडिया से ही जब हम यूके जाने वाले हैं, we can still apply for HCPC, then go to UK, study, and जब तक हमारा एक सेमेस्टर हो जाएगा तब तक हमारा HCPC भी हाथ में आ जाएगा. And like physiotherapy, there are other courses like exercise science, kinesiology, ये सारे courses available है. Just that जब हम ये बाकी courses लेते हैं, तुम्हें थोड़ा सा additional courses खुद से लेके then you can sit for the license part. Yeah, but it's a very good destination and it's easier to get into UK as compared to any other country.
Nice to hear that. So, very importantly, and now once we've understood, what about Europe? What about continental Europe? How does that look at in terms of the physiotherapy?
Yeah. So most of the physiotherapy, like masters in physiotherapy, most of the courses are taught
You can
in
change the
their
screen
native
further.
language. Yeah. So most of the courses, physiotherapy courses which are there in Europe are basically taught in their native language. Like हम अगर जर्मनी की बात करते हैं तो जर्मनी most of these physiotherapy courses are taught in German language. So Europe में, if you want to look at Europe, what we should look at, we should look at masters of science in kinesiology, musculoskeletal sciences, sports and exercise sciences, rehabilitation. ये courses हम basically देख सकते हैं when it comes to physiotherapy in Europe. And with regards to the license exam, EPC करके होता है European Professional Card. उसके लिए हमें register करना होता है, and it also takes around 3-4 months to get that European pass, जिसके बाद हम basically practice कर सकते हैं. It's also a 3-4 step process to apply for an EPC. And also very important thing, like जब हम यूरोप की बात करते हैं, every country in Europe is associated with some or the other language. So once you want to work there, obtain a license, and when you will actually work there, you will need this knowledge of language very well. So every European
Correct.
language के generally 6 levels होते हैं: A1, A2, B1, B2 and C1, C2. A1 is the list and C2 is the highest. So at least 3 level या 4 level कर लेना चाहिए, so that we are in a position to speak fluently, and that is very important when it comes to Europe.
Perfect. So obviously, physiotherapist is where you are dealing with the people, and and obviously, most of the people are dealing with
Your voice, Banit, is not
Yeah,
able to hear you.
you are not audible.
Yeah.
But you're not audible.
So we'll be sharing the link shortly in our in the comment section, and you can share it across the board. Next
Yeah,
slide, please.
we are live through our Facebook page right now. So yeah, who are missing out on that, I mean, inform your friends about it.
Yeah. So Tanmay, would you share us the Facebook link here so that if they can pass it around to their friends? Okay. Now the most important, or not the most important, but what are the most, in terms. Okay, there's a quick poll section which is which country are you interested in? So can you please put that? Okay, so guys, we have a mixed bag here, wherein we have about 29% from the US, about 25% of Australia, New Zealand, 32% interested in UK, and about 15% in Canada. So, guys, it's like a well spread out audience in terms of things. Okay, so now Hiren, coming to what are the job opportunities, and what does the career of a physiotherapist in the US look like?
Yeah, so very good question. Now, basically, in the previous part, we spoke about the education aspect in every country available. Now, here we are discussing about the job opportunities and stayback period for everyone in the different countries available. Now, the thing is, okay, first of all, people over here should understand the difference between STEM and non-STEM in the US. Okay, when we talk about STEM, basically it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Okay, if you go for a STEM course, I repeat, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Go for a STEM course, you get a 3 year stayback option after your education is completed in the US. If you go for a non-STEM course, you get only 1 year stable option after you're done with your education in the US. Now, by default, TPT and DPT unfortunately are categorized as non-STEM courses, okay, which is visible on this slide over here for everyone. TDPT and DPT are categorized as non-STEM courses. So because of that, people generally get only 1 year stable option. Okay. But if you go for a master's course, like at several universities, the master's course maybe in kinesiology, neurology, neurophysiotherapy, or these sort of courses, or even master of exercise
Hiren, you're
sciences,
slightly
under category in US. Okay, at different universities, these courses are available in STEM category. So that is the reason why you get a 3 year STEM option. Okay, but now having said that, what happens is whether you go for a TDPT, DPT, or a master's course, you are going to get a license exam opportunity. Like what happens is we'll cover the license part in the later part. The point here is that when you talk about the state, okay, with a TDPT or a DPT, you get 1 year stayback. With the masters, you get a 3 year stayback. Now the thing is, for a TDPT or not DPT, I will talk about, but for TDPT, very limited number of universities are available for all. For master's curriculum, there are several universities available for all. So there's like a catch-22 situation of what to do. Some students actually prefer, they are like very clear कि हमको सर TDPT के लिए ही जाना है. Whereas some students are of clear opinion कि हमको सर मास्टर्स के लिए जाने के लिए हमको STEM option मिलेगा, तो हमको फ्यूचर में STEM मिलेगा. The point is, there is a thought process about many people around in India, especially that TDPT नहीं किया तो वहाँ पे जॉब नहीं मिलेगी. TDPT नहीं किया तो we might not get to practice as a physiotherapist in the US, which is a wrong concept. Okay, even with a master's degree, you can practice in the US with a license in your hand.
nice.
Okay. Yeah. So the point is that there are certain things for license to be taken care of, which we'll talk in the future slide. But the point is, even with a master's degree, you can actually practice as a physiotherapist in the US if you have a license over there. And the thing is, you get a stayback option as well. And with a master's degree, you can actually specialize in something, like something to do with neuro, kinesiology, or something of that sort, or even musculoskeletal. You can actually specialize in these domains, and you can actually practice after your master's in the US. So these options are available for you. That is not a problem. And yeah, getting a job is not. I mean, okay, I'll be honest with you. Many of our students go to the US to study, and trust me, half or more than half their classmates are Indian students only. I mean, many classmates are Indian students. So whenever physiotherapists are going from India to the US, quite often they are the ones who are practicing out there. Obviously, the local students are there who practice. I'm not arguing on that part. But when you talk about physiotherapy, a lot of job opportunities are available studied in the US. And I'll give you an example. Like I've seen a couple of accidents with some very close friends and all who had suffered accidents out there. And they were being operated in the hospitals. Whenever a case is registered, I mean, a patient goes to the hospital, like an accident case, for example, is registered in the hospital. On the basis of whatever severity or whatever issues the patient has, the case has, a team of doctors is assigned to that patient, like a surgeon, maybe in some case a plastic surgeon, in some case, I mean, NSS specialist, obviously, it will be needed depending on the surgery, and a physiotherapy as well. Physiotherapist as well, sorry. So these sort of doctors are assigned to a case, a patient whenever they enter or whenever they come to the hospital. So the point is every hospital has a team of physiotherapists available on call, and these are the ones who are attending cases. Now, when we're talking about this thing, it's not about just about accident, it's about different cases as well. Like for example, my own younger sister is in the US. She completed a BPD from KM in India, and it's been 6 years that she has been in the US. She's working in Houston, Texas right now, and she's working in something known as the geriatric department, which is related to elderly, okay, senior citizens basically. And whatever issues they have physically, how to help them have a comforted life with whatever issues they have is something that they do. So different domain, different physiotherapists and different sections are available. And getting a job in any of these domains is not difficult as well. Some, like as I said, are in elderly care, some are in child care, some are in accident cases, some are in neuro cases. So different domains are available and different domain, different jobs are available. So nothing to worry about. Getting a job is not difficult at all. Trust me when I say this, in my history of counseling, none of our students who are born there for physiotherapy and have gotten a license out there have not gotten a job. They have everyone who has a license, they have gotten a job in the US. So that's nothing to worry about, brother.
That's nice to hear. So, what important aspect is it is growing by 36%, which is a very strong number and a lot of, and in terms of Indian physiotherapists, how successful are they in the US? So,
Very much.
is it very easy?
Very much. I mean, like, I have a sister, her friend out there who I'm in touch with, our students who are there and we are in touch with. And even the local physiotherapists out there, local, I mean, the ones who are citizens of the US, at times they take help or they take advice or they concur some decisions along with the Indian physiotherapists, and that's the value of Indian physiotherapists out there.
Nice. So after this, in terms of Canada, Sonali, now what are the stayback options for students who are doing physiotherapy, and how does that function?
Sure. So I think in Canada, mostly, as we were talking about US, the stayback option, the number of years that you get to stay in the country depends on what what is the kind of program, like whether is it a STEM or a non-STEM program. But in Canada, they have it's pretty simple. It depends on the duration of the program. So if the student is going for a 2-year program, the stayback option, that is the PGWP, postgraduate work permit, is going to last for 3 years. And when the student goes for a 1-year program, the postgraduate permit is going to last for 1 year. We have also observed in the past that it fairly depends on, there are some programs which last for 1 year and also include an internship for maybe 4 to 6 months. So those, the program duration of those program becomes around 16 months or 20 months. So students often ask, what is going to be the PGWP for these kind of courses. So any program in Canada which is done up to 16 months or above has up to 3 years of stayback option. So students need not worry about that thing. Coming to the employability part, I think, as I've mentioned, physiotherapy is the 5th most popular profession in the country. So, getting jobs or finding jobs is not really going to be a problem for most of the students who graduate with a master's degree and are planning to get their license and settle down in Canada. Of course, Canada is also known as a PR friendly country. So getting your PR during the PGWP period that you have is also going to be quite simple. Of course, you need to adhere to the rules of every province that you're planning to apply in for a PR in. The Canadian government is also encouraging many people outside the country to apply for a PR. I think they are planning to invite they are planning to invite around 2.5 lakh. That was the number that that invitations were sent out in 2019. So their goal is to invite more number of people till 2022, which is kind of an invitation for people to settle down over there. So looking at the entire scenario and the demand for physiotherapists, I think the future looks really bright for students who wish to pursue a career in physiotherapy in Canada. Coming to the course part, I think Hiren sir was talking about how people going for a master's program in kinesiology or maybe exercise physiology can transition, can take up some additional courses and maybe apply for a license. Unfortunately, that is not really true for Canada. There are, as I said, there are only 15 universities in Canada out of the 90 universities, public universities that we have. Only 15 of them offer a master's in physiotherapy, out of which 5 of them offer the course in French. So practically speaking, we have only 10 universities where you could apply to, and I think the number is going to the number of universities that you're going to apply is going to be lower than that, because some of them, like McMaster, offer the kind of restrictions that they have on applications. Indian students may not be able to fulfill in terms of the eligibility criteria, or maybe in terms of the student visa status that we have. So the actual number of universities that students from India can apply to in Canada for physiotherapy is going to be anywhere between 7 to 8. Okay, now only if you graduate from these universities is you're going to be eligible for the PCE licensing exam. Other than those, if students plan to opt for anything related to kinesiology or maybe exercise physiology, they can definitely go ahead with it. A master's in them is available in most of the universities. The number of universities are far greater as compared to the ones offering masters in physiotherapy. The only thing with these programs is going to be students will have to give another registration exam specific for kinesiology or maybe exercise physiology, and they won't be eligible for the PCE exam, the physiotherapy competency exam. They won't be eligible for that. So they will have to take up another registration process in the province that they're looking to work. But yeah, the stayback option, the prospects remain the same. I think that's about from my side. We can move to the next country.
Okay, so
Okay, that's nice. That's very nice, Sonali. So here in terms of US, that kind of limitation with regard to in terms of colleges and universities, is there any limitation on in terms of US who universities who students are looking to pursue the physiotherapy in the US?
Yeah, so one of the thing is, again, as we earlier discussed, US, if you look at physiotherapy, it is divided in three parts: DPT, TDPT, and the master's curriculum. Okay. Am I audible by chance or no?
Slightly, I guess I'll come back to that question maybe after you, if you can put up your headphones.
Trying here, so just a second, hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
Meantime, should we launch a poll?
Is my voice better?
No, we launch the poll after the round is over.
Yeah, is my voice better, Bharat, right now?
Yes, it is better.
It is better than before?
Slightly better.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't know if you're in live, but yeah, I'll use this then in that case. Okay, so Bharat, your question was about the flexibility or the limitation of availability of courses in the US. As I discussed earlier, the courses in the US are available in DPT, PDPT, and master's curriculum. DPT for Indian students who already have a master's degree, honestly, is useless. Very honestly speaking. Okay. That means with PDPT and masters. We talk about PDPT for Indian students, which is they have to do on campus. They can't do off campus because I mean online PDPT course because they don't get a student visa for it. Any given day, okay, they won't get a student visa for it anytime. It's not just the COVID time. They not also they never get the visa for it because it is an online course. So in that case, the courses available for TDPT are barely in 4 to 5 universities in the US, and hence that is the reason why some students prefer applying to master's courses for a backup option. Masters, there are n number of schools available in the US, so that is nothing to worry about.
Then it's still bad. The voice is still okay. So that's nice to hear. So basically, the options, there are very huge options for students who are looking at. Okay, now Kiran, coming to Australia and New Zealand, how does
Yes.
what is the career progression rate for progress for Australia, and what kind of stayback options they have physiotherapists for Australia and New Zealand?
Right. So in Australia, if a student is looking at doing a master's degree, it's for 2 years. I think that is mentioned on the next slide, but I can still talk about it. So depending on the location where the student is doing the course from, so Australia has a particular rule that if you are doing your master's from 3 cities, which is the most popular cities, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. If you're doing your master's from these 3 cities, you are going to get a post-study work visa of 2 years. मतलब 2 साल का study and 2 साल का stay back. Minimum 2 years stay back. And then of course, if you have a job, you keep extending your work permit, apply for your PR and stuff like that. But if you study from any city other than these three, like if you study from Perth, if you study from Canberra, if you study from Adelaide, then you get 3 to 4 years of stay back option. Basically, they are incentivizing students if they go to smaller towns because they want good students to also come to other cities and not just to Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. So that is how it is in Australia. And in New Zealand, आपका diploma program, the postgraduate diploma is 1 year. And again, depending on location, अगर आप ऑकलैंड में पढ़ते हो तो 1 year का stay back मिलता है. अगर ऑकलैंड के बाहर पढ़ते हो तो minimum 2 years का stay back मिलता है. And this stay back or the post study work permit, it is the minimum that you get. Okay, it is not the maximum. So never think that it is the maximum time के मतलब 2 साल के work के बाद आपको वापस आना पड़ेगा, वैसा नहीं होता है. So once you have a job in hand, you have to extend your work permit over there. Okay, and if you have a job in hand, it is not hard to extend your work permit. And अगर आप न्यूजीलैंड में मास्टर्स पढ़ते हो तो आपको 3 years का stay back, नहीं तो 2 years का stay back मिलता है. Sorry, 3 years का stay back मिलता है if you're doing a 1.5 or 2 years of masters. Can you come to the previous slide, Akshay? So in both these countries, Australia and New Zealand, physiotherapy, in fact, healthcare, the whole health domain is in a great demand right now. It's booming, and there is a huge demand for people in all health related professions, be it nursing or medicine or optometry or physiotherapy or any of the healthcare related professions. So by that it means that the demand for healthcare professions is more than the present supply in that country. And the best part is that because both these countries have extremely sophisticated healthcare systems, they pay the healthcare professionals very well. So if you see the website called seek.com.au, basically it is the biggest job portal of Australia. It shows that it shows a projection of 24.6% of growth for physiotherapy profession in Australia over the next 5 years. So it is expected to grow by 25%, almost 25%, which means that there will be so much more demand for physiotherapy professionals. And as on today, as on right now, if you see, there are close to 3,000 job openings for physiotherapists within Australia at this point, at this very point. And the minimum, like the median salary, basically the salary which they have mentioned here is 70,000 for per annum, which is one of the highest for any other sectors if you compare it to other sectors. So as I said, in both the countries, they are highly, physiotherapists are encouraged to stay back in the country and work and apply for PR and serve that country, because that is what they are looking for, healthcare professionals, because there are, of course, many lifestyle related, diseases and stuff like that. And Australia, New Zealand, both are very, very, sports oriented country. So they have a lot of requirement for professionals from sports background. And if your specialization is into sports, then there is a huge demand for you. So I mean, that's what I'd like to say, that both these countries do have a lot of demand.
Nice, nice. So that's nice to hear in terms of prospects. And I guess globally, both US, Canada, Australia, I think the demand is over 15-20%. And I don't think there is an effect of Corona. And even if there is an effect, I think
Not
it's
at
more
all.
on the positive side for physiotherapies.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Yeah.
final, in terms of Akshay, what do you think about UK as a destination in terms of the stayback options for physiotherapists?
Yeah, so as the article which is mentioned here, it is from one of the sources from UK government. They are predicting that they will need more and more physiotherapists by 2025. Say from 5 years from now, they are short of around 7,000 physiotherapists, which is ideally a very big number. And UK as a country, yeah, UK is also oriented with regards to sports and everything. So there is a high demand for physiotherapists even in UK. Now, as I mentioned, like for masters in physiotherapy, which is a pre-registration 2-year course. So whether your course is of 2 year or 1 year, the stayback is of 2 years. If you have heard the news, like couple of weeks ago, एक news आई थी which stated that UK is planning to increase their stay back to 4 years, like 1 year का course and 4 year का stay back. वो अब तक final नहीं हुआ है. For now, जो भी September 2020 से UK में जाएंगे, for them 2 years का stay back is fixed. उसके बाद मतलब visa renewal वगैरह जो भी चीजें हैं, that is also easy when it comes to UK. So तुम्हारी कंपनी तुम्हारे लिए वीजा रिन्यूअल के लिए फाइल करेगी and it's easy. So yes, like as per the statistics, 61% of the population of UK, okay, is older people. तो physiotherapy की और ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ेगी, and hence the prediction की आने वाले 4-5 साल में they need a lot of physiotherapists. So we definitely have a lot of scope when it comes to UK. And talking about other European countries, okay, so when it comes to other European countries, physiotherapy की जरूरत हर किसी को है, okay, but when it comes to the stay back of the other parts of European country, it will vary from 1 to 3 years. जैसे if we talk about Germany, okay, 1.5 years या 2 years का course होगा and 1.5 years का stay back है. When it comes to Netherlands, 2 year का course, 1 year stay back. Okay, and France, 1 to 2 year ka course, again 2 years ka stay back. So the stay back will vary and depend on the country to country when it comes to Europe. And yes, Europe में भी जैसे जब हम मतलब मैं भी जब जर्मनी में था, मेरी सिटी में बहुत ज्यादा लोग जो थे वो ओल्ड एज मतलब एज लोग बहुत ज्यादा थे. तो एक यूरोप में मतलब उनको जो यंग क्राउड है उनकी जरूरत है. एक year ago जर्मनी ने एक आर्टिकल प्रोड्यूस किया था. दे वेर इन शॉर्ट ऑफ अराउंड 1,20,000 एम्प्लॉइज अ ईयर. सो उनको जो यंग क्राउड है उनकी जरूरत है. ओके, एंड ये जो स्टैट्स आप स्क्रीन पे देख रहे हो दैट इज फ्रॉम वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विच इज सेइंग कि अभी आने वाले ईयर्स में फिजियोथेरेपी की जो डिमांड है वो काफी हद तक बढ़ने वाली है. सो यूरोप, यूके इज डेफिनेटली अ वायबल ऑप्शन फॉर फिजियोथेरेपी एज वेल.
Nice, nice. So I guess across the board, we are seeing more than 20% growth in physiotherapists across all the countries, and that's very nice to hear in terms. So coming now to the next section. Next slide, please. Okay, we can have a poll in the middle of with regard to which in terms of which year are you planning to study. So Tanmay, can you launch the poll on that side? So guys, you can fill up this session. Okay, so majority of guys who are looking at 2021. So the next section becomes really relevant for the people because you have to start planning now, and you have to start understanding the course and the selection bit, kind of immediately. So the first thing, Hiren, now over to you in terms of DPT versus DPT. So what is exactly is the difference, and how do the students go around with this myriad?
Yeah, we can do that, Bharat. Okay, sir, on this slide, hello. Okay, sir, on this thing, if you can bring the US license procedure slide on screen, please. Okay, sir, can you hear me? Bharat, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, the question that you asked, Bharat, regarding the course, it is better if we answer through this now, because the main critical thing for everyone is a license. See, like I said earlier, okay, I am being very, very practical. On a very practical note, which you agree with. Practical बात करता हूँ. इनमें धंधा धंधा है. I mean, okay, I mean, jokes aside, but the thing is, when the students are going from India to maybe US, maybe Canada, maybe Australia, anywhere they are going right now, trust me when I say this, whatever new they are going to learn in their curriculum from what they have learned in India is barely 30-40% extra. Okay. Rest all 60-70% is going to be the same what they have learned in India. So they are like कि सर हमको तो इतना ही एक्स्ट्रा नया सीखना है, बाकी सब पुराना चीज भी यूज करना है. तो ऐसा कुछ बोलो जहाँ पे हमको नौकरी वगैरह जो है वो फटाफट मिल जाए. Okay. So whenever students they have to decide between TDPT, DPT license, master's curriculum, it has to be determined by how they can get the license thing sorted. You know what? Whenever a student has done DPT in India and has done PDPT or DPT in the US, for them to clear the license procedure in the US becomes easy. There is a body accessibility, where here there is accessibility and there is also known as accessibility. That body is the one which evaluates your profile to make you, I mean, for you to be eligible to appear for license exam in the US. Okay. Now, when we talk about license also in the US, what people feel is that for different state, different license exam has to be given. No, that is not correct. One license exam has to be given, which is applicable all across US. But for different states, you just need to endorse the license. Okay, there is a nominal fee to be paid, and you can endorse the license in a different state. In different state, obviously the credit requirement for all of them is different. And the credits are selected on different parameters. First is your performance in your PPT. Second is your performance in your education level in the US. Third is your TOEFL score. Next is whatever you have done with regard to extracurricular activities, basically job experience and internship. All these parameters are calculated and a point system is given to which you are eligible to appear for license exams in the US. Again, with a DPT degree or a DPT degree in the US, it becomes far more easier for the students to appear for the license exam, to be eligible for the license exam. But if you go for master's curriculum, you will be falling short of some credits. The points that I explained in a very simplified term, you will be falling short of the points required, the credits required for the license exam if you go for a master's curriculum. And to cover up those extra points, there are something known as CLEFs. These are exams, okay? These are license exams, I mean, these are subject for license exam. Like let's say a hypothetical example that totally you need 100 points to get them with your license or to be eligible for your license in the US. Okay. With your bachelor's in India, with your education in the US, with your TOEFL score, with your experience and everything, you cross 90 points. You reach 90 points. So as of now, you are falling short by 10 points. Okay. How are you going to cover the 10 points? By giving these CLEP exams. Alright. So any individual who is going for master's, like every CLEP exam on an average is equal to 3 to 4 credits. So whatever you are following for, by taking maybe 3 to 4 subjects, you can cover those differential points that you have. So again, the point here is it's a catch-22 situation for many, because if you go for either a TDPT or a DPT, your license clearance becomes easy because you don't have to do any CLEP exam. If you go for a master's curriculum, you can get a 3-year stay because many master's courses are STEM courses, but then you will have to apply for CLEP as well. So like along with the master's study, plus studying for your license exam, plus appearing for CLEPs, life becomes a bit tedious. Plus, at the same time, you're doing some on-campus job or something to help you take care of your living expenses as well. So life becomes tedious. So in such cases, clearing the license exam at times becomes a bit difficult. Okay, but then again, for Indian students with Indian education and whatever you have studied in the US, clearing license exam is not difficult at all. Okay, because again, what happens is these license exams are available, are conducted 4 times in a year. After every 3 years, these license exams are conducted in the US. As per statistics that calculated, personally I have calculated, 90 to 95% of Indian students who have gone to the US to study clear the license exam in the first attempt itself. And of the remaining students, barely 1% are the ones who are left. Even after the second attempt, they are not able to clear the license exam. So if you look at it that way, but if cumulatively in the license exam 1 and license exam 2, in 2 attempts, almost 99 to 99.5% students clear the license exams. And trust me, the 1% who are left out of license exams are, whoever I have seen getting into the third attempt of the license exam, trust me, more often than not, it is because of some personal reasons.
समझ गया. So in terms of Indian students, मतलब हम जुगाड़ ले करके लाइसेंस पास कर लेते हैं. सिंपल.
जुगाड़ ठीक है,
जुगाड़ करके सब कुछ कर.
जुगाड़ तो है, बट उससे ज्यादा तो थिंग है कि यहाँ पे जो उनको बेस मिला है, ये जो बच्चा अटेंड कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर आई बिलीव आइदर स्टडीइंग राइट नाउ और हैव कंप्लीटेड डीपीटी इन इंडिया. Their base in India is so strong for them to clear the license in the US. Obviously, they have to study. ऐसे नहीं कि ऐसे डिग्री में पढ़ के चलेगा क्लियर किया, वैसे नहीं है. But for them to clear the license in the US is not so difficult because of the base that they have in India. This thing helps them a lot over there. This is the feedback they have gotten from almost every physiotherapist student who is in the US right now.
Nice. So that is obviously, so hats off to Indian education जो आपको काफी अच्छी तरह मेहनत कराती है, and they kind of make you slog your stuff out, so that's very nice.
But one more thing I would tell you, which something also later come on to, in the US, if you're going there for educational purposes as well as for license purposes, your TOEFL exam, test of English as a foreign language, becomes very critical. Because for TOEFL, like it is divided in 4 parts: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. Ankur sir will take this thing in detail later. But listening, writing, reading, speaking are the 4 parts of TOEFL. Ideally, your TOEFL score should be 100 plus out of 120, and your speaking session score should be 26 plus out of 30. Without these things, clearing the credentials for license becomes very, very, very difficult. And before going to the US, get clear in your TOEFL and go. Because I have personally seen people in the US, or graduates, especially students of Boston who used to be from vernacular background in India, attempted their TOEFL 4 or 5 times in the US to get these sort of marks which are required. So this is also very critical when it comes to the license exam for the students.
Okay, fair enough. Good. So that was about in terms of US, in terms of how to clear the licensing, what exactly do we do in terms of structure. Okay, so moving on to the next part of it. Say,
Yeah.
in terms of Sonali, now we come to in terms of Canada, in terms of understanding how do you go about with the licensing process in Canada, and believe you had clearly specified that there are about hardly 15 approved universities, and out of which 10 or 5 are in French. So how does that move around in terms of structure?
Got it.
Akshay sir, can you
Akshay
please
sir,
go
can you?
slide for, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so as we were saying, there are hardly any universities, barely 15 universities, and 5 of them teach the course in French. So unless somebody is really fluent in French, then otherwise they will not be able to take the program that they're looking for. Other than that, I had also spoken about the courses other than physiotherapy that students can take up. Of course, the drawback in those is going to be they cannot really appear for the physiotherapy competency exam that we're talking about. But of course, students who wish to go for courses like kinesiology, or maybe wish to go for courses related to exercise physiology specifically, both these fields have their own registration process that the students can carry out after completing their masters. So even if they want to practice in the specific field, that is also a criteria. So all hope is not lost in case the student does not land up in a physiotherapy, a master's in physiotherapy program in the said colleges. So they can always keep a backup plan about applying for a master's in kinesiology or exercise physiology, and then they can go ahead and kind of get themselves registered, pass the exams for kinesiology or exercise physiology, and start practicing in the particular program. So that is again one option. Now the competition, since there are very limited number of seats available and limited number of universities available, the competition is going to definitely be high, because Canada known for PR, easy PR route. Many students, many people do want to migrate there. So the competition is going to be high. So we would suggest you to keep a backup plan. Like, don't just rely on masters in physiotherapy courses. Do apply for a master's in kinesiology or exercise physiology wherever your interest lies, and by clearing those particular exams, you can definitely freely practice in Canada, and then apply for a PR and settle down and all those things. Now coming to the basic licensing part, how do you go about the PCE exam that we were talking about? Now, most of the Canadian institutes offer you an option. There is an option to write the written component. First of all, the PCE exam has 2 components in it: the written and the practical component. Both are equally weighed in terms of your marking and marking scheme and everything. And you should be able to clear both the components in order to pass the exam. Okay, none of the exams can balance each other out. So let's say if you are scoring a bit less in maybe the written component, the practical component cannot balance it out. So you need to have those individual scores with you, and you should pass the individual components to be declared as a pass candidate. Now the writing component of the exam can be written in the final term, like the final semester of the candidates in a master's program. So anybody who is going for a master's in physiotherapy program, when they come to their last semester of the program, they can complete the written component, so that they don't have to wait to complete their program and then waste time and write the written component, then go for the practical component. Okay, so written component can very well be completed during your masters, but the practical component needs to be completed only after you've completed your master's degree and are eligible for graduation. Another thing about the practical component is also that let's say if you've completed your final semester awaiting your probably your degree or your convocation, you can definitely go ahead and give your practical component, but the results will be released to you only after the CAPR sends the official transcripts directly to the licensing body. Only then the results will be out and will be displayed to you. Now, coming to one of the most important aspect of the entire eligibility criteria, of course, since you are going to study in Canada, you are going to be eligible for the PCE. There is no doubt about that, because if you study from these institutions, they are accredited, so you don't have to worry about whether my institution is going to be considered. The second most criteria is the TOEFL and the IELTS exam. Canada accepts both TOEFL and IELTS. It is not limited to just TOEFL. TOEFL with 21 and above in each of the section is mandatory. Only then you are eligible for the exam. And an IELTS of overall band of 7 is mandatory if you want to be eligible for the PCE exam. If you've given the TOEFL from here and let's say while attempting the exam, your TOEFL has expired or IELTS is expired, you will have to reattempt that. Okay, since we all know, I think we'll come to that part where Ankur sir will be talking about, TOEFL and IELTS. But just to give
Guys,
you TOEFL and IELTS is valid only for 2 years. Now, all candidates, as I previously stated as well, everybody has only 3 attempts to clear the exam. So 3 attempts for the written part and 3 attempts for the practical part. If in case you exhaust your attempt, you won't be allowed to give the exam again. So it is very important that people crack these exams in 3 attempts itself. Now, the wait time that is going to be there. So let's say if the Canadian PCE exam is going to be a bit competitive, or you can say difficult to crack. It is a bit difficult to crack as compared to US. So candidates may take more than 1 attempts to clear the exam. So while waiting for the exams to happen and giving your exams, students also have a question whether will we be able to work over there. So yes, definitely you can work over there. Of course, you can't practice as a physiotherapist, but there is something called as physiotherapist assistant. That is also a job title, a valid job title in Canada. Where you can practice as a physiotherapist and under a licensed physiotherapist. You can't, you will be an assistant to the physiotherapist. So these are the things. You can be a consultant. So these are the things that you can carry on while you crack your PCE exam. The results for both the written and the clinical component take anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks. Written component has about takes about 12 weeks for the results to come out, and the practical component, clinical component, which is an important factor, takes about 12 weeks. So you can plan things out, give your written component in your last semester, then crack your practical component, and simultaneously you can apply for jobs and internships as well. So yeah, that's from my end.
nice. Nice. So obviously Canada becomes slightly tougher, but still
Yeah.
success rates quite high. So Hurricane, what about Australia, New Zealand? What is the process to apply for licensing, and how does that go around? We can't hear you.
If you're mute, I guess.
Yes, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So I was saying that once a student applies, has completed his master's, he has to basically go through the Australian Physiotherapy Council and get his, basically the degree is already accredited, but he has to get his licensing procedure done from that website. So it's a body, it's the only body that does the registration and licensing for students. So he has to just go on Australian Physiotherapy Council website. He has to fill up a form, submit his documents, and it takes it's just a matter of about 2 to 3 weeks of wait period, and then he gets his assessment done and he can apply for his license. Yeah, and same as with New Zealand, with the the Physiotherapy Board of New Zealand. Once a student has completed his PG diploma or masters, he needs to apply on this website, and they can apply for their license directly from these websites,
Nice,
and
nice.
then start
Okay, so
practicing
Akshay,
as physiotherapists in the country.
nice, nice. So Akshay, in terms of UK, what is the process to become a licensed physiotherapist in the UK?
So basically, the process of becoming a licensed physiotherapist in UK is also easier. It's an easy process. So we'll have to first register, a student will have to register on HCPC. And once the application is received by HCPC, they will basically start with the initial processing. So within 4 weeks from his submission in the HCPC, he'll get an intimation whether he need to submit some more documents or his file is good to proceed. If the file is good to proceed, then he will be asked to pay exact fees is basically £495. So a student will have to pay £495 towards the processing and the assessment part. And within like 60 working days, he will be basically getting all the details of his license and everything. And like if a student, if they and regarding with regards to the assessment part, the last step which is mentioned here, so the HCPC has also, employed a couple of other agencies, a third-party agencies. They will do your background check on behalf of HCPC. Now, what do they do in that background check? In that background check, they will check whether the university where you are studying your course is accredited by them. They will see what course are you doing. They'll see your work experience, your Indian degrees, and all those things. So once these documents are clear, then they will give you a final go ahead, and post which you can basically practice in the UK. So this is the process for license in UK.
Okay, and what about in Europe? What do the students have to do if they are looking at European countries?
So if the student is looking at European countries, so they will basically have to apply for European professional card. Now this European professional card, so there are 5 things mentioned over here: a nurse, pharmacist, physiotherapist, mountain guide, or a real estate agent. These 5 will have to apply for this EPC. And so generally a physiotherapist will get a 1 year license at the start from EPC, and post that this license can be extended. But for the start, EPC will grant him a 1 year license.
Nice, nice. Okay, so guys, if you have any queries and doubts, you can keep on hold. We will quickly come on to the question answer session. We're kind of exceeding our time. But okay, in terms of now the eligibility, or what are the Ankur, now this is where you come in terms of, say, the kind of test requirements for getting into licensing, kind of physiotherapist. So how does that go about, and how do you put on say the GRE score or the TOEFL score, and how do you actually prepare to become a physiotherapist, prepare to apply for a physiotherapist in these countries?
Yes, but so like you said, it is GRE may not be mandatory for a physiotherapy course, but many of the colleges, universities may say it is recommended. Also for visa purpose, we recommend, if it is US, we definitely recommend that we prepare for GRE. GRE is a aptitude test. Okay, so that will test your verbal and quantitative reasoning skills, and it's more of a aptitude and a logical test. Along with it, TOEFL or IELTS will be required. Now TOEFL is out of 120, and typically we look at about 100 plus is a good TOEFL score, and that would be just an English test. Like Sonali said earlier, it is speaking, reading, listening, and writing. Okay, 4 sections. So we prepare students for both TOEFL or IELTS as well as GRE.
Actually, can you change the exam slide, please? We'll come to the eligibility later. Can you change it to the exam slide? That's the one we are discussing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Okay.
here's your TOEFL snapshot. So basically, in reading, you have 60 to 80 minutes and about 3 to 4 passages. Okay, first we'll just discuss TOEFL. Okay, and listing. It's a some lectures are listening, and then there's also integrated tasks in listening where you have to listen, you have to read. So it's kind of a little complex. So what happens is you need a practice of it. So most of our lectures will be actually focused on giving you a lot of practice. Once you have a few sessions of practice, you're all set for this. Again, 41 to 57 minutes is the time. Speaking, we have four tasks, one independent, three integrated. So again, this is a very tricky one because you have a brief period in which you have to speak. So we train you for that. And writing, you have two tasks, one integrated, one independent, and you have about 50 minutes. Again, the writing task is a little challenging because we've not been used to writing, reading, and then writing. So it's kind of it's not a very difficult test, but definitely requires a lot of practice. So we can
Okay.
do the GRE snapshot. Can we show the GRE snapshot? Yeah, so here's your GRE snapshot. So like I said, it's a maths and English test, quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning. And there is a analytical writing assessment at the beginning. This test is out of 340, and the out of 340, typically if we are looking at 300 plus, it's a pretty good score for this program. Analytical writing assessment is a separate score, and that is out of 6. Okay, so again, we provide training for this also, and it is we have the live lectures, online live lectures currently.
Perfect. So I guess we have for both TOEFL and GRE, we are having online live lectures. So all of you guys are looking at fall 2021. Yeah. So,
Generally, for the TDPT or DPT course, GRE is not needed. Only if you are going for NYU, that is New York University in the US, you will need a GRE score. There is a 300 plus GRE for NYU. And if you're going for master's level curriculum, master's level course, many universities do ask for a GRE. Some do exam, but many ask for a GRE. So that is there. But again, for all of us, as Amber also said, how critical TOEFL is. Okay, because we need 100% TOEFL, ideally, and 26% speaking. And GRE, NYU needs it for the TDPT course for sure. And for master's level curriculum, GRE will be needed by many universities.
okay. That's nice. So actually, in terms of eligibility, TOEFL and IELTS become very critical, across the board. And GRE score for a physiotherapist is requirement. So Hiren, now in terms of USA requirements, how much
Yeah.
percent does the marks play, and what other aspects do they look at in terms of when getting admission into schools in the US?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a tricky part, Bharat. I mean, obviously, what happens now, when these students are applying for the master's curriculum in the US, they have to even look at the future license goals in mind and apply. Okay. So many times what happens is what documentation you're preparing or steps you're taking right now for your application to the universities in the US, some of them will be needed for your license credentials as well. All right. For example, there is something known as WES evaluation. What happens is in India, when we are studying physiotherapy in any of the universities in India, your score is out of 100, either out of 100 or out of 10. But the US universities or FCPT, they need something out of 4. So we do a WES evaluation, the World Education Services, they evaluate your transcripts to give you a GPA out of 4. Now, when we apply, we send them not only the transcript, but we send them the attesting marks, degree, ICC, the internship completion certificate, everything. And on that basis, the university select us. Obviously, along with that, our office goes out to be sent. Some schools, as I pointed out earlier, GRE is needed, and obviously other documents like your statement of purpose, the letter of recommendation, your resume, these are all critical documents you are applying to any of these universities. Okay, but yes, your GPA matters a lot because many universities have a clear-cut funda of either 3 GPA or a 3.5 GPA depending on their scale. And understand the seats for PDPT, especially in the US, as I said, there are barely 4 or 5 schools offering this thing, and each of them have barely 40 or 50 seats. So if you calculate totally the number of students who can go for PDPT from India will be hardly 300. I mean, if you calculate on optimistic scale. So because of that, what happens is competition increases. So higher the GPA, the better the chances for you to get into these schools. Obviously, again, your internships, your other activities, co-curricular activities, workshops, etc. They do help you in getting the admission. Maybe they might not help so much in the future for getting licenses, but these will help you in getting admissions as well.
Nice, nice. Okay, in terms of other countries, now, say in terms of Sonali, how much does a student need to score to get into these 10 universities? And what do you think should be a profile of a student?
Yeah, so since the competition is high, the academic requirement anyway for Canada is definitely high. But anywhere between 70 to 75% is the requirement for getting into the 10 universities that we're talking about for physiotherapy, masters in physiotherapy. When it comes to kinesiology or maybe when it comes to exercise physiology, the requirement can be anywhere between 65 to 70 to 75%, depending on which university you're applying to. As I said, courses like kinesiology, exercise physiology are available in many universities across Canada. Getting into these become a bit easier as compared to getting into masters in physiotherapy. So that is the ratio, that is the requirement on academics front. When it comes to TOEFL or IELTS, a requirement, IELTS is going to be 7.5 and above, with 7 and above in each of the section. That is the requirement for IELTS. TOEFL is going to be 100 and above, with 25 plus in each of the sections. 21 plus in each of the sections. So, and the overall score should cross 100. So that is a requirement for the English proficiency. Other than those, you should be able to produce documents like your usual documents, your transcript, mark sheets, and your completed degree certificate. Canadian universities do encourage you to apply. If you are just studying in the 4th semester and your internship is pending, that is considered. So you do not really have to submit all the documents together with your application. You can apply in the middle of your bachelor's program as well, so that you don't waste any more time. As soon as you graduate, you can begin with your master's program in Canada. So along with that, usual documents like your SOP, LORs, letters of recommendation. SOP is a statement of purpose. These are mandatory for all applications in Canada. So along with that, these also go. Certain universities, I can specifically point out UBC, University of British Columbia, does conduct an interview process along with the document evaluation as well. So you need to crack both the document evaluation as well as the interview process to get into a master's in physiotherapy program. Okay, so many universities do an interview process as well. This is, however, not true for courses like kinesiology and exercise physiology. For them, an interview process may or may not be required. The document evaluation will suffice the entire process.
Okay. Now, Kiran, can you throw some light on which are the colleges which the physiotherapists can apply to, and what are their eligibility criteria?
Yes, so there are quite a few options for physiotherapists in Australia. So some of the popular universities are Flinders University, University of Canberra, La Trobe University, Swinburne, Griffith University, University of Technology, Sydney. So there are quite a few options. But yes, getting into these universities is very difficult. It's not so easy because they have very limited seats for international students. So they look at a really strong profile. Like we've had students with a 65-66% apply, but it's very hard to get into. So I would definitely say that an overall percentage of at least a 70% and above is recommended. Below that is very, very difficult. We can always try, but it's very difficult in Australia. And an IELTS of at least a 7 is required, with a minimum score also of 7 in each section. There is no GRE requirement. If you're taking a TOEFL, then yes, again, a TOEFL of at least a 95 plus is expected. And the other documents are as mentioned here. There is nothing new that is required. But yes, overall, a good CGPA or a percentage is the first thing that they would check for admission. But New Zealand is easier. So if a student has a lower academic profile, he can look for a PG diploma in New Zealand. It is easier to get into, like a 60% and above can get into a PG diploma.
Okay, that's nice to hear. So for UK and for Europe, Akshay in general, what is the general admission criteria? What percentage and what kind of additional documents are they looking at?
Yeah, so when it comes to basically UK or Europe, both IELTS and TOEFL is accepted. And yes, physiotherapy in UK is a little easy. So minimum 60-65% we generally will get into physiotherapy in the UK. And when it comes to other European countries, say for example, Germany. Now, Germany has public and private universities. Getting into public universities, the students will need at least 70-75%. But yes, overall, if we talk 60-65% would be good to go for UK and Europe, and other documents which would be required would be same as other countries, like transcript, SOP, resume, their letters of recommendation. And if I talk about some, say, universities, basically in UK or Europe, so when it comes basically to UK, there are a lot of universities available, which has courses related to physiotherapy, exercise science, and other related courses. So universities like University of Birmingham, University of Nottingham, Oxford Brookes, University of Sussex, Harriet Watt University. So there are a lot of universities. Say if we look at physiotherapy in general in UK, there are around 25 to 30 universities which are available, and we can definitely look up a line to somewhere around 7-8 universities.
Nice, nice. So obviously, now we come to one of the most relevant questions of the day, and which has engulfed us all. With regard to COVID-19. So Tanmay, can you please put a poll, and we will have a candid view on COVID and the impact of COVID-19 on overseas studies before we proceed ahead. And then what we will do is ask the panelists to give their view on how COVID-19 has impacted your studies and the future of physiotherapists at the rate globally. And that's how we'll take it forward from there. Okay. So an overwhelming response on the concerned side. So with starting with the guys who are slightly concerned was at 33%. The guys who are slightly more concerned were at 20 or 24%, and the guys who are deeply concerned are at 28%. So first of all,
these are all health professionals. They have to be concerned.
Absolutely.
Then we should be concerned. That's the point.
Agreed. So, Hiren, first of all, I want to take your view on, the concerns and how do, as majority of them are more on the concern side. So, is their concern genuine? And first of all, and what should they exactly be concerned about?
But again, these are health professionals. If their concern have to be genuine, right? But okay, we talk about foreign education for all of them. Obviously, they are worried, like how will the online classes pan out, or how will the hybrid model pan out, or will they be able to fly, or when the pandemic will end is something which everyone is wondering right now. But the point is, they are more worried about their online classes, and their thing is for them the license becomes critical. Until the time they are not there, physically there, they won't be able to apply for the license exam. So I personally think that is more of the concern for the students, which is absolutely correct. See, and if the concern is driving through jobs, then again, these are healthcare professionals. I mean, physiotherapists, even today, even in the pandemic, they are getting jobs in the US. US right now, obviously other countries also, it's almost the same thing. Since these are health professionals, they are getting jobs in various parts of the world. One thing I would like to tell you, since again these are physiotherapists wherein they have to come in contact with the patients or the patients directly, their patients directly. So because of which there are some places where there have been layoffs because they are not taking a fresh patient because they are wondering that taking fresh patients, they might bring in the virus along with them. That is some concern. So they are stopping or they are reducing the facility because of which some people are being laid off. But at the same time, some facilities are like, irrespective of what is happening, we would like to treat as many patients as possible and make their lives much better than what it is right now, be it through medicines or be it through physiotherapy. So it's a mixed bag situation, but trust me, people are getting jobs right now. That is no problem, especially in the field of physiotherapy. And yeah, the pandemic is there. As you always say, this is your line that I'm copying right now. The threat is real. I'm no argument. The threat is real right now. But the point here is that all these people from the poll that we conducted earlier, they are flying either in 2021 or beyond 2021 right now. Some would be there who are for 2020 who are stuck what to do, what not to do. Since the embassy is not opening up right now, any more or less anywhere, a difference is imminent for them right now. Maybe to the next semester, next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, the pandemic will subside sooner and we will see the embassies open up sooner. But yeah, when you talk about jobs or anything, that is the problem in the current situation. And even the education is going fine. Yeah, it's just that online model, I'm not a huge fan of it personally, especially for healthcare professionals, because for them the learning experience will be different. So maybe taking a different would be a wise choice for people who are going now. For people who are going in the future, we are again hoping that by next year things will be all right. This too shall pass by then.
Okay, that's nice to hear, Aaron. Sonali, your views on Canada and impact of COVID-19 on Canadian education, and how would the physiotherapists in Canada would be impacted, if at all?
I think we were right in covering the point about like healthcare professionals are going to be in great demand. They are in demand even right now as we speak. So the doors are open for students who are planning to migrate to different countries for study purpose and planning to settle down over there. It's just a matter of time that we get out of this current situation. It's just a couple of months that we need to bear and then decide. How do we go about it and the process and everything. Till then, I think students who are planning to go probably next year can begin to prepare for their exams or maybe prepare for their applications and everything, put in applications, especially for countries like US and Canada, where the entire process for applications till your visas can take up to 1 year. So the deadlines are as soon as end of November or December. That's when the deadlines for the next year intake begin. So I think I would advise all students to start with their process even if they are planning to go next year. People who are in a dilemma right now, if anybody who is attending who wanted to go this year and they are not able to make it for any of the countries because of any particular reason, health risk or maybe the visa scenario, I would suggest a deferral at this point of time will be a good idea, since especially for if I'm talking about Canada, since the embassies are the visa application centers are not open yet. So although online applications are happening, paper applications are stopped until further notice. So there is no way to file paper applications. There is only online applications that Canadian visas are accepting. So even for online applications, although you can file the application, but biometrics is a problem. So in India, the biometrics have the centers have not opened yet. So, and it's very unlikely that they are going to open in the next couple of weeks. So even if they open, the possibility of you reaching in time in September to Canada in Canada is going to be really the possibility is really less. So I think getting your admit deferred to another intake is going to be a wise decision at this point of time. You've been waiting for so long. I think 6 months is not going to make a huge difference in your life. So I think starting your course in the month of January or next September is not really going to affect anything. If you're continuing work, internship, anything, I think you can go about it, or maybe start with online courses, or just add to your resume, building your skills, which is going to help you once you land over there in Canada. I think, yeah, that's about from my end. If you have any specific questions, you can drop them. We are open for questions in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So you can drop
Yeah,
these questions. Sorry, we can't hear you, sir.
If you're not audible. But if you repeat what you just said, you are not audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
HK. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you now. Now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So HK, what was the, in terms of Australia, what is the impact for physiotherapy students due to COVID-19, and how do you think students at the present cohort should look at scenario post COVID-19?
Yeah, so I think as Sonali said, healthcare professionals are in huge demand everywhere. It's the same in Australia, New Zealand, and I think, as I said, that they project a growth of about 24.6% over the next 5 years. So it is a sector which is going to see good growth in spite of, like, in fact, more so because of COVID, because there is a requirement of healthcare professionals. So I think it's one sector that does not need to worry about the impact of COVID in a negative way. Having said that, now what is, if there are students who are interested in Australia and New Zealand, the next intake is February. So Feb 2021 is the next intake that they should be targeting. And please bear in mind that most healthcare related masters are available only in February intake in Australia. So whoever is planning for 2021, there may not be any other intake available. So please do apply right away. That is the, as I had mentioned a few slides before, that you must apply at least 7 to 8 months in advance, because the course that you're applying for, physiotherapy, is highly competitive, and it's always on first come first serve. So the earlier you apply, the better chances you have, because there are hardly, a few seats available for international students. So please do apply early with all your documents, and we are happy to help you. So please reach out to us, and we'll assist you with all the documentation process and shortlisting universities and all that. So for both countries, Feb 2021 is the intake that they should be targeting.
Perfect. Akshay, what about Australia? What about Europe and UK? Has it been impacted, and what do you think is the COVID impact on physiotherapists in those countries?
Okay, so like COVID has definitely impacted to some extent, but not the physiotherapy or the medical sector, because as we can see that Europe, like say for example, Germany is now growing very fast, and yes, thanks to all the medical system there. So when it comes to Europe, certain part of Europe is definitely affected, like France, Italy. They are planning the coming intake to be online. Some universities are also planning to start on campus. But yes, when it comes to rest of the part of Europe, so there is not much of COVID impact when it comes to the physiotherapy sector. Also, UK. Say for example, if you want to apply to UK, so there are basically two intakes: Jan of 2021 and September of 2021. So for Jan, applications are already in process. Students have already got their decisions. And for September 2021 intake, applications will be starting from a couple of universities. Like if you're planning for Cambridge and Oxford universities, their applications are going to start today itself. And rest majority of cohort of applications, they will begin somewhere by August mid. So yes, this would also be the ideal time if you are planning to apply to the UK. And as I said, there is not much of impact on the physiotherapy part in any of the part of UK or Europe.
Nice, nice. Okay, obviously, this is a small slide which we show that, guys, we are not at the end of the world, and things have happened in the past. COVID-19 has happened, pandemics have happened, economies have recovered. This is a projection from IMF
Yeah.
that in
Bharat,
2020.
can I share a poll in the movement if you're okay with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Next part is obviously once you have decided to go abroad, let's look at your finances and how you look at finances in terms, so that will be a quick.
Yeah. You can cover the economic world economic part and the finance part in the same go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys, an overwhelming response again on the deeply concerned side of finances. The majority of us, I am assuming, that would look at loan options, looking at it. Now, for physiotherapy students and students overseas in general, there are a lot of options. So, guys, you can first of all look at nationalized banks who provide you any kind of loans if you have a collateral in place. Their rate of interest is quite economical. They do not require a very strong parent background, which means that you can have parents who are retired, you can have parents who are who have not been earning for some time, and the IT returns are not strong. So it's not in terms of situation. If you look at banks or financing options, if you have a collateral in place, they are the best bet you can have. In terms of interest rates, they are quite competitive. In terms of interest rates, they definitely can help you out and solve your thing. The second set of banks are private banks. They basically give you unsecured loans. So all those guys who are looking at unsecured, which means you do not have property in place, or you do not have say a mortgageable property, or something called India mein jaise family heritage property, which has your uncles and mamas and chachas and tayas, everybody clubbed on them. So those who are unable to provide them, they can look at this option. Very important for them, there is limitation. You need to have a higher cosigner, which means your parents have to file IT returns for last 2-3 years. There are a set of parameters or colleges they fund, so those have to be fitted in, but they can definitely fund anywhere between 0 to 25 to 30 lakhs, or even up to, in the US, in case of 40 to 45 lakhs. The other set of options which we have are international funds, as well as US banks. So all of you guys who have some sort of relative who is a green card holder or US citizen can look at these options. All those who are looking at say international funds, they have a limited number of universities globally, 200, 250, 300 universities. Now, good number of our students actually come into these universities and they take it forward. In terms of every country wise expenses and funding options, nationalized banks is accepted in all, so that will be the first go-to option. You need, and in terms of security as well, the property need not be in your parents' name. The property can be in your a third party name as well, but the third party or your uncle or aunt will have to come on your loan structure and will have to guarantee the loan. So the important aspect is this entire process does not take more than a month or month and a half. It usually starts as soon as you finish your applications. So the critical guys here is for those who are looking at 2021, as Harkan said, Feb intake is the only intake which happens. Sonali said that things are moving to at least 4 months waiting time is there for the visa purpose itself. So you need to get your application started and completed latest by September or October. This part also starts parallelly as soon as you have applied for your application. So let's complete that in general. We have a fully dedicated team. We have a platform called EduLoans, which helps students. It has been created. It's kind of our sister concern, which helps completely with all the loan options or all the funding options. You guys are blessed. When we went abroad, I'd say 10 years pehle, there were not so many options. Banks are more ready. They all do something like for Australia, they do pre-visa sanctions. Canada, they do for GIC. So complete flexibility, all options are available for all of those who are trying for education loan. So guys, we would also suggest when you speak to our counselors after this, and you look at various loan options, suggest to them or tell them that they need, that you are looking at loan options as well, and parallelly we will get you sorted in terms of loan. So that's how the whole thing functions. In terms of if in case, so there are many permutations and parameters, and we will try best to get your loan approved. And in majority of cases, in 95 or 97% of the cases, unless there is a huge CIBIL or a default by your parents, that is one, or else in some cases the property is just simply not mortgageable, is where we actually fall back when things are and loan becomes an issue. Otherwise, in most of the cases, we do have a process wherein the loans get through quickly. Home services given by various people, so the things can happen at your convenience, and all of that. So that part of it can get taken care completely, like start to end. So it's been more than 1 hour 45 minutes. It was a 2-hour planned session. We tried our best to come in. Akshay, can you come on the last slide of what we do? We tried our best.
Planned for 1.5 hours. The 2 hours of cushion, I guess we're using the cushion right now.
Correct. So we tried our best to try to control it, but I guess the gamut of information is so huge, and country-wise specifications is so huge. I guess all of you are hereby advised, please reach out to us independently. This session is more like an introductory session, understanding scope, nature, country-wise. You can reach us. Akshay, can you put on the last slide, please? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and so that's us. Just to brief about us, Imperial has been since 2010. We have been guiding and helping students out. Most of us have studied abroad. We have endless, you can say, thank you notes, endless success stories, endless people who are there who have made their lives and done what, achieved their dreams. So that's where of us. So we have 5 branches. Can you put on the branch slide, please, with the phone numbers?
And Bharat, I would like to say one thing, I mean, not to sound cocky or boastful about this. In the words of our past students, very clearly, I mean, they've said that Imperial are the only counselors at least in Bombay region who don't think about physiotherapy. Again, not sounding boastful or cocky, almost every student of ours who has gone abroad has said this to us. And in fact, we even had a live session where one of our students said this.
Absolutely. So obviously we know we have students who we have sent, and we completely know how much, what efforts and what steps it takes to successfully build a career in physiotherapy, ensure you clear the licenses, take the right path, do not take the shortcuts, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, and comes in. The actual last slide where we have our reach out slide, please. Okay, in terms of services, we are facing some internet connection issues.
Yeah, in terms of services, we can do help you with everything. I guess speaker is also good. We can help you with everything.
Hiren sir, you're not audible. You're not audible.
Yeah, there is an echo.
I can hear my own voice again.
Okay, so we do everything start to end. So once you talk to our counselor, starting from there. So once you talk to our counselors, your path becomes clean. Starting from the documentation, we help you write SOPs, LORs. We practically may write them for you, guide you on them, end-to-end solution, and we do not discriminate between people across the board. University selection, we have like Sonali ma'am said, 10 universities on our fingertips. Universities are there who have gone, what is the admission criteria. Finance assistance, like we said, about various loan options, what is possible, what is not possible, prepare you from the start. In terms of travel and visa and forex, we have guys who you can come into our offices and pick up a visa and forex card wherein, which becomes very convenient. Complete visa guidance, and that is what I think this is one highlight of our counseling, where kind of we grill you so that when the actual visa happens, you look like ye kya tha. So in terms of situation. That's how thorough our training is, and all of you guys are requested for that.
One more thing about visa success rate is quite high.
Yes, visa success is 99% actually. So we take care for each and every person across the board. So we have this record, and this is where we are very proud to hold that it is at 99%. So unless you are really, jinxed, or we kind humbly apologize that we are not at 100%. That is my gun point, but we are at 99% in terms of visa success rates, and we kind of know what papers to put in, what things to put in, what details to put in. These are our past success. You might have students, or you might have seniors across the board who are who from this list. This is just a handful of people who have gone abroad and made their career abroad. And in terms of last slide, please. We are now open to questions. If you would want to put in questions on the right side, and I would like to take them through. Okay, so we have one question. Okay, this is for you, Hiren. Is applying to Fall 21 in USA TDPT a good option? As many students are deferring to 2021, so will there be a problem for students applying now?
For Fall 2021, it should not be a problem.
Slightly voice is breaking. Basically, it's about the competition which increases in Fall 2021.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, better.
Your voice is echoing.
I don't know why it is echoing. Someone's speaker is online. Anyway, yeah, so the point is, here right away, even though universities are going in, but universities are told us that they are going to treat this. I mean,
I'll just I think repeat what Hiren sir wanted to say. Universities. Am I audible?
Your voice is also repeating.
Yes, you are.
Your voice is also.
I think there is.
Well, you can speak now. I guess now you should be fine.
Yeah, now it is fine.
Now it is fine. I know what the issue was. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think, sir, you can continue since it was specific to US.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, guys. Sorry again. The point is, now I'm audible, right? I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Lovely. So the point is, many universities have actually told us that they are going to treat the next cycle independently. The difference of this, they are not going to be dependent on difference of this year. And anyway, universities are making it like a hybrid course right now. So we know that for them to increase the number of seats is not going to be difficult at all. So people for fall 2021, that should not be a problem.
Manit sir, I think you were on mute. I think you're on mute.
Okay, so there's one question for you, Harkiran. Can we apply for scholarships in Australian universities for this program?
Genuinely speaking, scholarships is difficult for this particular program. But yes, when we do apply with for a scholarship application also. But for this particular program, it is difficult. So you are expecting a fee of close to 30 to 40 lakhs in Australia, and your graduate diploma in New Zealand would be somewhere around 15 lakhs. So, somebody who has like a lower budget can probably consider New Zealand.
Sonali, one question for you. I have heard about the master's degree in Canada that it requires 3 years of experience, whereas we can apply for diploma without any experience. Is that
Okay,
true?
so yeah, so certain Canadian universities, from the 15 universities that we're talking, sometimes they do ask for specific requirements. One of them does include work experience as well. So we can probably avoid those universities and apply for the ones who are ready to take in freshers. So that's not really going to be a problem. We will have to just simply skip the universities which are asking for work experience. And then that number is not really high. So you can easily find around 5 to 6 universities which will fit into the criteria that you're looking for. Coming to the diploma part, yes, there are many there are many colleges which offer postgraduate diplomas and certificates. The issue with this is going to be since these are not accredited, the courses are not really accredited by the CAPR that we were talking about, the governing body. You will not be able to register for your PCE exam, the licensing exam. So if you want to crack your licensing exam, there has to be a master's course or a doctorate program. Only programs which are above a master's or above that are eligible to qualify for the PCE exam. If you do any courses below those, like maybe a bachelor's or maybe even go for a postgraduate diploma and all that, all those, you will have to stick to a physiotherapy assistant job qualification. You won't be eligible to practice as a physiotherapist.
Okay. Here in this question is for you. Does extracurricular activities help in admission process? How big a role does it play if it does? And is work experience a requirement?
So I'll reverse the answer actually. Is work experience a requirement? No, it is not mandatory. But if you have some work experience, obviously it will help your profile, no doubt about it. And anyway, these students are doing, they go after a 4.5 year course, and the last half year is for internship. So they anyways go with the 6 month internship. So that should not be a problem for them. When we talk about extracurricular activities, those do help. I mean, if you are attending some workshops or some, camps or anything, if you're attending those, then those would absolutely help you get better. This is no doubt about it. But there's a misconception here, many people assume that these workshops help you get more credits for the license exam, which is not correct at all. These workshops don't help you get more credits for the license exam. Your internship, your academic GPA, your TOEFL, your work over there, that helps you get extra credit, but not the workshops or camps for the license exam. But for university admission, obviously that would help you out.
Okay. There is another question, although it's not country specific, but what is the scope of veterinary physiotherapy? So, guys, anybody wants to take about with regard to the scope of veterinary physiotherapy?
I can go for it. It's a very niche field, no doubt about it. But again, we have to understand this field is such wherein it's not about human anatomy you're talking about. You're talking about anatomy of an animal, any particular animal as such. So any individual going for such field should have knowledge about obviously physiotherapy, no doubt about it, but about the animal anatomy as well. So I mean, the combination is needed. I mean, just the normal, I mean, the physiotherapy done in India after that is they go, I have my doubts if that will work for them.
Okay, this is an interesting one. What is the procedure for licensing if one has to come back to India after studying abroad? So, does the board recognize the licensing abroad from these countries?
No, but now these students going abroad, once they're done with their internship and they get their degree, by default, they apply for license in India any which ways. And
Okay.
once if you have DPT from any recognized university in India, licensing is just a formality. It does take 3 to 4 months to come in. I'm not saying no for it, but it's just a formality. You just apply for it and you'll get it through. So even before you complete your education abroad, before that you'll have your Indian license in hand. So that is no problem. You can practice after you come back to India.
Okay. Guys, we are getting a lot of questions on scholarships across countries in general. I think there are about 15 or 20 questions on scholarship in UK, scholarship in Canada, scholarship in Australia.
We can actually close with this question, but we are almost over time now, so we can close with this question.
Okay. There are a lot of specific guys. Okay, so the question list has crossed, I think, 100 plus. Okay, so what we will do right now, guys, we apologize. We need to have another 2 hours for the question answer session to end. Some of them are very
apologize for the sound at the start. I am reading the question now actually, and I am saying first half an hour was bad sound quality. I apologize for that, everyone.
So we apologize, for all the inconveniences. We tried with some internet issues are not in our hand. We're kind of getting it there, but this is just the start, guys. So all of you guys reach out to us. You have our numbers. You reach out immediately to us. We will reach out to you. Our callers or our senior counselors will call you. This is the start. Understand the process in detail. Bring your parents part of it. Understand which country, what course, how you would want to go around, understand loan options. We are definitely, another thing which we would want you to do right now is also please join our Facebook page and our Instagram handle. We provide real-time updates, and this means really real time. Okay, if yes, last night at 1 o'clock Trump announced something, it was there in our handle at 1:10. So these are real time, superb updates across the board. So all of you guys are requested to join them here. Akshay, can you please show our Instagram? Yeah, that is there. So and I kind of demyth various things. So things with things on Canada, things on Australia, which need to get highlighted. So all of you are requested to be there. In terms, please now reach out to us, and we will plan to hold one of the sessions again this in some time, and take it forward from there. Thank you for being a patient audience. It's been exactly 2 hours. It's now 7 o'clock. And thank you for listening in, and hope that this was value adding. And I believe now you need a good break. So go and enjoy your week, evening in the rain, and enjoy yourself.
For people in Bombay, it's raining outside. You can actually enjoy the rain right now.
Correct, guys. We will be calling you up and reaching out to you. Thank you all. Thank you, Hiren. Thank you, Sonali ma'am. Thank you, Akshay sir. Thank you, Arkaran ma'am, for this session. It was quite, what do you say, value adding to the student. Quite a lot of knowledge being digested in 2 hours. And I think the questions will now start coming in.
You can, guys, you can WhatsApp us, call us, email us. We are always open for it. We have 5 offices across Bombay and Pune, Borivali, Thane, Kothur and Hinjewadi. You can, we are open. Our offices are open right now on appointment basis. So you can, if you do want to visit us with your parents, feel free to come down to appointment. And we are even available on video call. So, yeah, I mean, just contact us and we'll help you with whatever you need.
Perfect. Okay, guys, over and out. And Sharmay, would you please close this?